Confirmed cases are spread across 15 states, with 161 in Lagos, 36 are in Rivers, 27 in Edo State, 19 in Kaduna, 10 in Nasarawa, 6 in Oyo State, and 4 in Kano. There are 3 new cases each in Delta and Ebonyi states, with 2 in Gombe, while Ogun State, Ondo, Borno, Abia, and Bauchi states have 1 case each. In total, Lagos still tops the chart table of COVID-19 cases with 3,756, followed by Kano with 923 and the FCT with 519 cases. The NCDC reports 2,385 discharged patients with 249 deaths recorded so far.
Still on COVID-19 update, a report from Gozal indicates that all 71 COVID-19 patients in Zamfara State Isolation Facility has been certified as recovered and have been discharged. The report also says 5 persons have died so far from the disease in the state.
And as the country continues to battle with the coronavirus pandemic, Nigerians have been urged not to lose sight of the harmful effects of measles and other childhood killer diseases.
This is the view of medical experts at a media orientation meeting for anti-measles campaign organized by the National Orientation Agency in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Kingsley Onanemu report.
Although the federal and state governments have continued to make concerted efforts towards stamping out the dreaded COVID-19, it is also imperative to pay attention to other childhood killer diseases such as measles in order to preserve the health of the future generation. It is in line with this that the United Nations Children Emergency Fund, UNICEF, in collaboration with the National Primary Health Care Development Agency and the National Orientation Agency, organized a one-day media orientation on campaign against measles. The focus is to mobilize members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm on the need to create the needed awareness towards sensitizing mothers to participate in the continuous immunization exercise for children against measles and other childhood killer diseases.
So we want the media to help in propagating this message that in spite of COVID-19 pandemic that had made people to lock themselves up, that there is still need for mothers and other caregivers to go to the primary health centers to assess immunization for their child who have gotten up to a certain age, because these vaccines are given at a certain age. If they don't assess this vaccination, it will have a very big negative impact on the child when he grows.
The issue of immunization of children remains a routine thing at the primary health care centers situated all over our communities, all over our local government areas.
The Imo State Immunization Officer, Dr. Chibuzo Okurama, describes measles as a highly infectious viral disease caused by the measles virus, which needs all hands to be on deck to be eliminated. And understanding on regular joint media and other stakeholders' sensitization of the populace on the continuous immunization program against measles was reached at the end of the event, which also featured question and answer session in Owerri. Kingsley Onanemu, NTA News.
And Kebbi State government has received 61 Almajiri deported to the state by the Kano State government.
Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who received the children at the internally displaced persons camp in Kalgo local government area of the state, assured his commitment to their education. Usman Abdullah Shehu completes the story.
The repatriated Almajiri who come from 6 local government areas of Kebbi State, comprising of 18 from Dundee local government, 13 Argungu, 9 from Jega, 4 from Kalgo, 3 from Bagudu, and 1 from Suru local government areas. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who handed over the returnees to their respective local government chairmen to unite them with their parents, said the decision to return the Almajiri to their state of origin was unanimously adopted by the 19 northern states governors as an effort to fight COVID-19 and address the lingering Almajiri challenge in the region. The governor announced that Kebbi State government will embark on Almajiri census shortly after Salah to repatriate non-indigens back to their home states.
We don't want children going around begging for food because they owe it to society to look out for them. As much as we have challenges they are our future. So we'll pay attention and ensure that they get the best of care.
He commended Kano State Governor for subjecting the returnees to take COVID-19 test before sending them back home. The chairman State COVID-19 Task Force, Jafar Muhammad, who affirmed that all the 61 Almajiri returnees were certified negative of COVID-19, said others with positive case were left behind in Kano State at isolation centers receiving treatment. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
And the attention of the presidency has been drawn to media reports alleging that President Muhammadu Buhari has cancelled a number of memos and appointments signed by his former chief of staff. A statement by the senior special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, indicates that there is no truth in these reports, and Nigerians should please ignore the insinuations behind them. He also says, not surprisingly, the reports quoted unnamed sources. He, however, stated that President Buhari was duly re-elected by Nigerians in February 2019. He has not and will never cede to anyone else than power and trust given to him by the Nigerian people.
Now to business. The total value of capital importation into Nigeria stood at $5.85 billion in the first quarter of 2020. Let's join Abdul Karim Zurmi for details.
The total value of capital importation into Nigeria stood at $5.85 billion in the first quarter of 2020, representing an increase of 53.97% compared to fourth quarter of 2019 and a 31.19% decrease in comparison to the first quarter of 2019. A breakdown of the capital importation show that portfolio investment accounted for 73.61% of total capital importation. Other investment accounted for 22.73%, while foreign direct investment accounted for 3.66% of total capital imported in the first quarter of 2020. Lagos State emerged top destination for capital investment, which accounted for 87.72% of the total capital inflow in the first quarter of 2020. In the meantime, the World Economic Forum has unveiled its class of 2020 young scientists. This represents 25 researchers at the forefront of scientific discovery. Although the challenge of COVID-19 has unintentionally diverted attention away from other research work, the World Economic Forum believes the need for science to test, predict, and explain how different phenomena affect human and ecological outcomes is greater than ever. These brilliant academics, 40 and under, have been selected on the basis of their achievements in expanding the boundaries of knowledge and practical applications of science in issues as diverse as child psychology, chemical oceanography, and artificial intelligence. 8 of this year's young scientists study in Europe, while 7 work in Asia, 6 are based in the Americas, 2 in South Africa, and a further 2 in the Middle East. 15 are women. As the global economy buckles under the burden of the coronavirus pandemic, Alice Hazelton, Program Lead Science and Society of the World Economic Forum, says they are looking forward to working with the young scientists to help leaders from the public and private sector better engage with science, and in doing so, help young researchers become stronger ambassadors for science, which the world needs now and will continue to need post-COVID-19. With business news, Abdul Karim Zurmi.
And now to legislative matters. The House of Representatives says the National Assembly fully supports the presidential decision to carry out a forensic audit of the operations of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, from 2001 to 2019. Chairman of the House Committee on NDDC, Representative Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, while briefing newsmen, says the National Assembly, in line with constitutional provisions, will also go ahead with investigations of alleged financial misappropriation by the Interim Management Committee of the NDDC. The committee chairman says the National Assembly will not succumb to alleged blackmail and intimidation orchestrated by the IMC.
Decided to institute a probe after calls and different petitions. And blackmail threats had been used as a weapon to stop the National Assembly. That has not worked. Then the latest one is this issue of sheer blackmail.
Representative Tunji Ojo pointed out that all correspondences between the House and NDDC on budget and other official matters are efficiently documented to ensure transparency and accountability.
And still talking transparency and accountability, Nigerians seized the seamless access to petroleum product in spite of the lockdown to curb the dreaded COVID-19 spread as a pointer to a strong capacity for the nation's economic revival post-pandemic.
And that is right. Abdullahi Sulaiman Iyaji was on the streets of Abuja where motorists commended government for ensuring fuel supply is unhindered.
A visit to major filling stations in the Federal Capital Territory reveals an ease to get petrol by motorists.
It's very easy. Fuel anywhere, you get it very easy without queue. Okay. So we thank the government and the way things are getting easier.
Oh my God, I love Nigeria so much. In fact, I can't even get out of this country. You know why? Because the fuel here is perfect, it's sharp.
Even with the lockdown, we were lucky enough that the filling stations continued working. So fuel has not really been a problem for us.
This development, an oil dealer attributes to effective administrative measures, which he commends government for.
For a very long time, since the inception of this government, we've not been having all that excruciating scarcity that make people to buy in panic way and begin to keep.
The Department of Petroleum Resources further assures that the tempo will be sustained in spite of the lockdown.
I want to urge the public not to do any panic buying, whether it's diesel, whether it's PMS. They should not do any panic buying. We have the product available on ground. We go around to make sure that the product are available and the sales is ongoing smoothly without any hints.
Many filling stations in the nation's capital were seen dispensing at the approved pump price. Abdullahi Sulaiman Iyaji, NTA News.
You're still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live on the network service. Still ahead.
A number on Delta synergize to curb violation of interstate movement.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now, in continuation of its daily monitoring and enforcement of interstate travel ban, the FCT Ministerial Tax Team on COVID-19 has intercepted and arrested 29 Lagos-bound commercial motorcycles traveling in a truck. Abdullahi Iyaji report.
The FCT Ministerial Task Team in its outing on Tuesday intercepted a truck with registration number LFA 837ZX from Taraba heading to Lagos through the FCT. After due interrogation from the chairman of the task team, driver of the truck, who was conveying some precious stones, and commercial motorcyclist, whom he picked from Lafia to Lagos, and their bikes were arrested for violating the COVID-19 partial lockdown order in the FCT.
How did you manage from Taraba or Lafia to reach where our men arrested you here?
Sincerely, I consider one from God.
Now from God, how God?
Stop. As they don't stop me now, that's why I pass.
Chairman of the FCT Ministerial Task Team, Iharu Atta, expressed concerns over the continued violation of the restriction order, adding that the truck and all its non-human contents will be impounded until the COVID-19 restrictions were lifted.
Very, very despicable. We have seen persons being carried in between fertilizers, being carried in between bags of beans, in between bags of pepper, in between bags of onions, in between bags of tomatoes, in very, very dehumaning conditions. And we found that really very worrisome. As we go to enforce this and as we enforce this, what we feel in our heart is pain.
Thereafter, the men were arraigned before Magistrate Idayat Akoni, who found them guilty with 3,000 naira fine on the truck driver and the occupants of the truck be sent back to their point of departure. The tax team, however, warned other would-be violators to keep off, as the FCT will use the law to punish offenders. Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
Now we'll take you to the Niger Bridge, where Anambra and Delta state governments are working out modalities to reduce the human and vehicular traffic on the Niger Bridge, violating the interstate movement restriction put in place by the federal government to contain the spread of coronavirus.
This followed a meeting of delegation by two states at the bridgehead Asaba. Uchenna Nwokoye report.
With hundreds of pedestrians trooping in and out of the both states through the Niger Bridge, there is the fear of further escalation of coronavirus cases in both states. The Secretary to the Government of Anambra State, Professor Solo Chukwulubelu, and that of Delta State Government, Chiedu Ebie, both agreed that proper synergy should be worked out to get the two states respond appropriately to human and vehicular traffic on the bridge.
Two things we need to address. We need to address the pedestrian traffic and then also the vehicular traffic. The interstate lockdown is still in place, but the peculiarities of this area means that we have to look at it slightly differently. You can see the number of pedestrians going across the bridge, and so we really need to figure out how are we going to deal with it.
I still believe it to be very helpful if the borders, if data borders with Edo are manned very effectively. If you do that, the trucks that come into Delta will be just trucks that you have cleared, and now that the two sides are working together, you signal people, they move through the bridge very quickly.
There have been serious concern on how best to enforce interstate movement restriction on the bridge to contain the spread of coronavirus disease. From Asaba end of the Niger Bridge, Uchenna Nwokoye, NTA News.
And in what could be described as putting aside political differences for the progress of Plateau State, members of the National Assembly caucus from that state were at the Government House Jos to present their donation to Governor Simon Bako Lalong towards the fight against COVID-19. Lolade Alayaki was there and has more.
Delegation, which was led by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Ahmed Idris Wase, donated an undisclosed sum of money to the Plateau State COVID-19 Trust Fund so as to assist government deal with the pandemic. The Deputy Speaker said the donation was in appreciation of the measures taken by the state government so far in dealing with the pandemic through several measures.
Watching clearly, the only digital government, if I would say, that be able to man our security force using ICT. I think this will have to thank you much. Congratulate you for all the good effort. We have been around in terms of supporting the government and individual capacity on our constituency level, to state level. But we thought it's not going to be okay if we don't come as a family first to appreciate you, to tell you that we're working together with you in Kingdom, and to ensure that whatever we're going to do, we did a little that God has done also.
Governor Lalong, who expressed appreciation for the gesture of the National Assembly Plateau Caucus, said the donation again shows their patriotism and unity through the progress of Plateau State.
Plateau people are law-abiding. And in this case, I must use the opportunity before you to thank the entire people of Plateau State.
Lalong used the opportunity to speak on the profiling and transfer of Almajiri children to their states of origin, where he explained that the decision was taken by the entire northern governors in order to protect the children who were abandoned and became at risk of contacting COVID-19 and even spreading it.
If somebody is moving like this, sleeping anywhere, is vulnerable to COVID-19. If he gets it, he doesn't even have opportunity to reach out to those who will pick him and address the situation. So we convened a meeting of Northern Governors Forum. And at that Northern Governors Forum, I think the first few states that came complaining heavily on this were Kano, Kaduna, Nasarawa, and even Gombe.
The governor, in company of the National Assembly members, later took possession of an ambulance, 2 ventilators, 10,000 surgical masks and other accessories donated to the state by the NNPC IPPG initiative.
And reactions have continued to trail the recent signing of the Executive Order 10 by President Muhammadu Buhari, which granted financial autonomy to states' legislature and the judiciary.
Dotun Ogunyemi reports that political and social analysts of the view that development as a key to strengthening the nation's democracy.
In a swift reaction to the signing of the order, the Conference of Speakers of State Legislature in Nigeria described the approval by President Muhammadu Buhari as the best-seller gift, according to a statement by the Chairman, Conference of Speakers, and Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. Honorable Jude Idimogo is a member of the Lagos Assembly. He, like his other colleagues, are happy with the move.
Actually, when we talk about separation of power, we should do it to the letter, in the sense that it's not just separation of power, mere talking about it. Financially, if you want it to be effective, financial autonomy is necessary.
Political analysts are also of the opinion that the move will enable each arm of government to be independent and better accountable.
People have clamored for this for so long, but the reality is that we've had about 21 years of unbroken democracy, and this has not been done off and now. The problem has persisted for so long. And so, I mean, it's a wonderful thing that the president has realized that this ought to be done.
I also pray that the willpower to sustain this particular executive order, that God should be sustained, so that we will have more vibrant governance in the state, because they are more near to the people.
According to the order, all states of the Federation shall include the allocations of the two arms of government in the appropriation laws. Failure to release such allocations, however, authorizes the deduction from source.
You're watching the news at 10, reaching you live from Abuja, the nation's capital, on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Ahead.
Situation report on lockdown in a rural community in Borno State. Details shortly.
Lockdown
as announced by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, are effective from 4th May 2020 in Abuja, Lagos, and Ogun states. For public spaces, the following are mandatory: improvised face masks, temperature checks, hand-washing facilities and hand sanitizers, physical distance of at least 2 meters, no sporting activities and mass gathering. On travel, these are prohibited: passenger flights, interstate travel except essential services, movement of agro products and petroleum products. Note, there will be mandatory supervised isolation of returnees for at least 14 days. For markets and offices, neighborhood markets are to open 3 times a week from the hours of 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Banks and financial services are to open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Government offices are open only to staff from grade level 14 to 17 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Corporate offices and private sector are open to business from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Schools, churches, mosques, clubs, bars and gardens remain closed till further notice. COVID-19 is real. Take responsibility and stay safe.
Slavery is an evil practice abolished all over the world over 200 years ago. But today, human traffickers are selling human beings as slaves in Africa. It is your responsibility to make sure that you and the people you know do not fall into slavery. Don't believe fake promises of jobs abroad.
People went to say Libya, Italy no use you when they carry me on top water. 4 days now they lock me for inside house, no food, no water. I nearly die. Now God, when me heaven and earth, now save me. If you get 1 naira for Nigeria, you get junior one, you say you no get papa, you no get mama, now make you come out. I beg go they do farm work. You better pass person when enter road.
Don't accept to travel to Europe through the Sahara Desert. You may be walking into slavery. Don't be a slave.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
In this time of despair, our country, Nigeria, needs us now more than ever. We stand a chance to save our great country, Nigeria. A chance to rise up from this pandemic stronger and better. What will be the gain if we do not learn from other countries and observe the lockdown to stop the further spread of the virus? If we loosen our guards and allow this virus doom our very existence, then what have we gained? This is the call to every Nigerian to unite as one and stop the spread of this deadly virus. Stay at home and stay safe. Remember, the virus doesn't move unless we move. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.